This is a review of The Ghost Network by Catie Disabato, and it's going to be entirely spoiler-free except for this one, which is you will love this book. Granted, part of the reason I love The Ghost Network is how I came about it. This book is published by the Melville House, which is an independent publisher with a storefront in Brooklyn, and I live just across the river from there. So a couple of Fridays ago, I took the train over to the Melville House, and contrary to popular belief, most people are not in bookstores on Friday nights. So I had the place mostly to myself, and I got to talk to the girl who was running the shop at the time. She actually gave me this really passionate recommendation to check out this book. I ended up loving it, but I think a big part of that was that this recommendation actually came from another living, breathing, reading human being, and it just made me like it even more. I was actually lucky enough to see the author do a reading of this book recently. She was fantastic, really charming and funny and so thoughtful and smart. This is actually a photo I took at the reading. It's not the best photo. I was a little bit embarrassed to be the person taking an obvious picture in the middle of a reading, so sort of took it like kind of sneakily. You can see that she's wearing a Britney Spears crop top, and that's because Catie Disabato loves pop stars. I learned that some of her favorites are Lana Del Rey, Carly Rae Jepsen, Selena Gomez, and Demi Lovato. It was so fascinating because she talks about pop stars the way that grandfather-aged men talk about the 1953 Yankees. She knows their strengths, their weaknesses, what they're bringing to the team. She just knows so much about them, and she talks about it really academically. But the reason that I talk so much about the author is that unlike other writers, Catie Disabato herself actually plays a huge role as a character in this book. This is a brief description from the back of the book. Has the world's hottest pop star been kidnapped, joined a secret sect, or simply gone into hiding? The answer lies in the abandoned subway stations of Chicago. The main character here is a pop star named Molly Metropolis, and one of the things that blew me away about this book is that she is so real. And that's hard to do for a fictional character, and it's really hard to do for a fictional celebrity character, because the majority of us don't have anybody in our lives that we can liken them to that we know intimately. Or at least I don't know very many celebrities. Maybe you guys all have lots of celebrity friends. But by the end of this book, I just felt like I had an understanding of this character that was deeper than I have of some of the people that are in my everyday life. And part of the reason that Molly feels so real in this book is because her whole world, her whole career are really described in very great detail. In order to make a pop star, I think you have to make their whole world. Catie Disabato did so excellently. Molly Metropolis's music videos are described shot by shot, movement by movement, sequin by sequin on her costumes. Her interviews are quoted. The lyrics to her songs are referenced. At the reading I saw, Catie Disabato said that she had even written the melodies to Molly's songs, and she sang them a little bit at the event. Again, I'm going to keep this free of spoilers, so I'm not going to go too much further into the plot, but I do want to talk a little bit about how the book is set up to execute the story. And that's with a ton of layers. Really thoughtful, artfully crafted layers. The Situationists, the new Situationists, Molly Metropolis, and Nix and Tear would all be a lot to manage on their own. But on top of that, the book is actually written from the point of view of a journalist named Cyrus Archer, and his manuscript is the book that you're reading, complete with footnotes by the young woman who's editing the book, Catie Disabato. So as you can see, there's a lot going on. There's a really fascinating narrative about perspective here, though. Both of the people who are commenting on the book as outsiders actually weave themselves into the story. Beyond all of these storyline angles, there's another really important element of the book, which is that the entire thing is totally enabled by the internet and technology. As I mentioned, the author actually plays the role of editor in this book. So throughout the book, there are these footnotes throughout the text where Catie Disabato is actually commenting on Cyrus's thoughts on the events and sort of fact-checking him and providing some more information. What really cemented my fascination with this book was how much it sort of jumped off the page and felt like it could have been happening in the real world around me. And that's not just because all of the characters are realistic and it had this like uncanny sense of truth to it, but because it actually quotes the characters and then has a footnote like this. When Molly Metropolis says the quote, "Sometimes I felt like an alien," to the New York Times, there's actually a footnote with this website listed. www.newyorktimes.com/2009/12/23/arts/music/Molly defies the sophomore slump.html ? Ref equals music. So when I saw that on the first page, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to see if this is real. So I actually like pulled out my phone and plugged in this address, and it didn't lead anywhere. But I was sort of interested that I had been kind of like tricked into fact checking it. And this happens throughout the book. In the whole book, I never found a real quotation from Molly Metropolis's career, but I kept looking. Whenever it mentions a tweet, I would go and like check to see if one of these characters had a real Twitter account. They don't. But I just felt like I was sort of fooled and allured into seeing how real and how far the writer could take this book. And it also just sort of lent itself very well to the mystery aspect of the Ghost Network. When you're seeing a scary movie or when you know you're reading a mystery, you don't trust anything. You feel like you have to sort of have this outsider's perspective where you're watching everything and judging everything to make sure that you don't get sort of tricked by the end of it. And that's how this book made me feel with all of the technology and social media references. In their review of the Ghost Network, the New York Times actually really said, "You might rightly feel a sense of information fatigue in considering this book's scope." But I totally disagree. I just found this whole experience really exhilarating. And again, it just felt so new and fresh right to the end of the book. I just felt pleasantly surprised by everything that unfolded. So I hope that that is enough to get you at least a little bit interested in the Ghost Network. Please, please, please check it out. I can't recommend this book highly enough. And when you do read it, please drop me a line, send me a note in the comments. I can't wait to see if this book hypnotized you too.